Right, so I was thinking about what jobs to do. I'm going to have a play with this cylinder cupboard. So it's always been difficult with this cylinder cupboard because it was never designed for one. So this was a big change of plan, as I was originally having a gas combi boiler, but then decided to go with air source heat pump and underfloor heating. So I changed the cylinder. So this cylinder, all the pipework comes out the top, which makes a huge difference in here due to the width. So in the scheme of things, this is that cupboard what I built. All this comes out, this post, all the screws at the bottom. It'll all be done properly. This is just all rough at the moment. All this comes out. All this comes out at the side. So the idea is that in the future, if ever it needs replacing, we can just unscrew that corner post and then the cylinder will come straight out. Because at the moment it's wider than the door is the cylinder, but I can put it in at that side at the moment. But I've had a change of plan. I'm going to raise this floor level to the top of these because the cylinder is just a bit wider than that, and if I lift it all, it's going to be like a flat table, so it'll be easier to slide the cylinder in and out. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've cut myself some little bearers to go in, but they're 9mm too short. I need them to be up to this level here. So I'm just going to rip some wood down on my table saw, 9mm. And what I also did, I changed the design of the cylinder. So this is still a small cylinder, but everything comes off the top. Because once the cylinder's in there, it's about 15mm off that wall, the cylinder comes to there. So it only just fits, but it fits. And what I'm more gutted about, I need some packers which are 9mm. I'm having to cut up the table for my table saw. So I'm gutted about that, but needs must. I've put some packing pieces on to bring me up level with here. I've put some tape on there, and on the tape I've put the centre of the timbers. And then I've put the centre of the bearers here, so I know where to fasten it all down. So now I'm just going to get my hoover going to get rid of my muck, because I don't like muck. Right, so I've got my bit of floor down, and I've got 3 pieces of vinyl. I've got them out acclimatising, so I'll put them on tomorrow. Just want to leave them out 24 hours. So another change of plan with my cupboard. I was going to MDF all these and paint them out. I'm not. I'm going to use melamine, which is what I've just cut down on my saw. I'm going to edge all the edges, and then I'm going to put that up, but I'm going to put it on packers so it drops below on my brackets. I'll screw all these up properly, do what I need to do, and then the melamine, there'll be a packer here and the melamine will be underneath. So when you open the door here, you won't see any timber anywhere at all. Then I've got a board as well to make me a nice ceiling up there, because I need to sort all that out as well. All fun, but we'll get there in the end. Sod's law, we've had all this nice weather. I'm wanting to get my big saw out. It's pouring down. I also got them gusset brackets on where I altered that leg. I've got the vinyl down. I'm just going to sort of some bits out for here, just to fill that edge up, and then I've put some anthracite sealer in the edges just to tidy them up. What is it? Right then, so what I'm just trying to do at the moment is make myself a ceiling up there in this cupboard. So I'm just going to put some bearers on there to bring me down from these brackets with screws in, and it'll just get me further down where these bends are, just so I can make a tidy job of the ceiling. So I've cut some timbers, and where the screws go in I've countersunk them so that I know that the heads won't be below this. So what I've done now, I've got my square and I've marked on that piece of timber the edges of these pipes and those cables, so I can now take my measurements from this fixed point up to those lines so that I know where to cut. Right, I've transferred my measurements. That's for the cables. But I'm using a 38mm what? Hole cutter, which will give me a 5mm gap around the pipes. You know, just an expansion in the pipes, you don't want it tight. And then to make good around the pipes, I'll put a pipe rose over, so it'll all look nice and tidy. You'll see when I do it. Wish me luck. Just going to get a bit of insulation for in there and mark on the panel where all my fixings are going, so they're all neat and tidy. There, I've got some insulation in. So I've got that up. By the time I get roses around them cutouts and everything, I'll tidy it all up nice. And then I've got paneling to go all around that, so you won't see any of that. The more I think about this cupboard, well, I'm now getting to building the cupboard. So I was originally thinking about magnets, strong magnets, for putting these side panels on and this top, because I want to be able to get the panels off, well, strip all the cupboard to bits in the future maybe, or any maintenance. If I can make it easy to get to take it to bits, it's easy to get in with everything being so tight. So the magnets what I used in where? On them cupboards in the bedrooms, they had a 10kg pull. Anyway, I found some on the internet and they had a 40kg pull, but I couldn't determine how much 40kg was, so I've knocked that idea on the head. Anyway, I'm going to use button fixings, but that means that when you engage the panel, to disengage it, you've either got to push it up, pull it down, or move it to a side. So I can't router, I haven't got enough room to router the fixings in. So I'm putting a timber up there like that, and I've cut them out because I've got some straps going across here to my decor plate. You'll my decor panel. You'll see that later on. But I want that on button fixings, so I need to get a piece of timber in there and then router the fixings out, and then I'm going to put that big side panel on button fix as well. So that's my plan, button fix. So what I've done, I've changed that angle was on the top. I've changed that to the underneath, and then I'm just putting this piece of wood on, and then I'm just going to screw that on. But I've cut these notches out. It's not going to be these brackets because they're the wrong size, but I'll screw that to the back of my panel on here, and then I can screw that in there, and then my melamine will go over the top. Just countersink them. Well, it's 6:30. I've been out here since 6. I'm just trying to have a tidy up. It's one of them days today I just can't get going. Not good today. Morning. I've got hours in this cupboard and it just doesn't seem to be getting anywhere. There's been a lot of work, so let me talk you through it. So that's going to be the door opening, but the cylinder does not fit through the door. So I've made it so that all this corner here will come out. So you remove these screws, then there's a metal strap, can you see it there? And that strap, excuse me, comes down from the top, comes down here, and then there's these angles which will be covered. So you unscrew them, and then all this corner comes off, and then there's enough room to get a replacement cylinder in the future in and out, so you can do any maintenance, any repairs. At the moment I can get the cylinder through there, so that's the way I'm going to put it in. You can see all these brackets and you can see that saw cut. To try and get something substantial in the corner, I used a timber fence post, and it was the straightest one what I could find, but unfortunately it was twisted slightly. So I've had quite a bit of buggering about with packers behind there to square it up. Now, one of my biggest things was I didn't want to see fixings. You see, like these. But I've resigned myself that they're going to be hidden behind a door. There'll be another row of them there. And because the pillar was twisted, it suited what I wanted, putting screws in. But for some removable panels, I'm going to use these button fixings. Your panel just slots in and clips in like an IPS panel, and then you can easily remove it. So that's going to be access as well. Up there, there'll be a panel up there and a removable panel at the side. And you've got the door there, so I can get in to service all the equipment in there, because it was never designed for an air source heat pump system. It was going to be an ordinary kitchen cupboard with a gas boiler. Now, I really didn't want to use white panels. I wanted to use those. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much that panel is. but they are an absolute fortune. They're a few £100 a piece, and I just couldn't justify doing it all in green. And then in the future, if it bugs me so much and I get a bit more money, I'll change the white on the cupboard for the green, because it's no hard shape. But at the moment it means I can get going and get a cupboard. Right, I'm just going to edge a piece of Conti board or melamine. Just put an edge on it. I have some of the iron-on stuff. I'm not going to use that. I've been using this stuff from Screwfix, and it's already got adhesive on the back. You just peel a tape off, and I think it's really nice to use. So I've got that, a knife, one of these blades for cleaning the edges off, a roller, a little shimmer wood. I peel back a couple of inches of tape. Get it flush at the end. I just sit it on so it's right and overlapped. And then what I do, I have my piece of wood like that, and I keep that on the face. As I'm working my way along, I have a finger at the back to keep it pressed against the face of that wood. Then my other finger presses it down. You'll see as I work my way along, and it gets it spot on every time. You know, you can use a chisel, a sharp chisel, but I like these long Stanley knife blades. But you've got to cut it going down, don't cut it going up. Right, so that's still longer. Now I can fine tune it. Beautiful. Oh fuck, I've got to take that board off as well. I need to take that off. It fits in between here and here. It's just tilted over. But there's a bloody rim here and it don't fit. So I need to take that board off. You have no idea how delighted I am. You have no idea. I'm pleased I changed it to one where all the pipes come in from the top, because you'd struggle getting in to fit it, so they just won't cut in. That'll go further, a little bit further back in to the corner. Other plumbing bits will go up there, and electrical controls will go on that bit. And then to replace it in the future, because it won't fit through the front, you'll just take all this off, take all this out, and you can get into everything. Might only come out once in 30 years, but at least you can get it out. If there's a problem, you can get it out. Oh. Right, I'm going to get this cupboard back together and get it finished more. So, what I've done, and you can see the writing, which I didn't want, but you still can't read what it says. So the plan is that when I'm dead, somebody will end up taking that out, and I've left them a little note with the date when I wrote it, so hopefully it'll make them chuckle. So over the years when I've done jobs, sometimes I've left little notes in matchboxes, and I always remember when I served my time, I left a note in a set of steps for a girlfriend, knowing that I don't know if she'd ever find it, but she'd have ever found it, but whoever had have taken up the steps in the future would have found it and might have spoke to her or something like that. And then a lot of years later, we built an extension at this house, and we took these steps up, and I'd forgotten all about it, and then I found the note underneath. So there's little jobs all over what I've done over the years where I've secretly left little notes. So there's one in there. I don't know if you can tell if my eyes look swollen. I got really badly bitten the other day by a wasp's nest. So I didn't know there was a wasp nest there. I was cutting down a load of wood. Next thing, I disturbed these wasps and I got really badly attacked. So my eyes, I don't know if you can still, very, very swollen and sore. It's been, I think, 4 days now. But I'm still fighting on. Well, this was an expensive thing to happen. There was a screw there, one of them screws goes in there, and I've just managed to find another one which will replace it temporarily. So that screw came out. It caused all this to drop, and there's metal in there. So my saw blade caught it, and lots of my teeth have disappeared. I don't know if you can see them. So that's an £80 blade up the spout. So I've ordered a blade, and I just need to find the Makita part numbers for them, for that shroud and the metal guard inside, and get that replaced. So it's an expensive morning just for a tiny little screw. The only thing I'm not happy about is seeing all the screw holes, but they'll all be hidden, but it just winds me up. I mucked up there. I didn't catch the board at the back. So my worktop comes to there, so I'll see some of that. But my green removable panel comes to there and up there. So I'm going to router in these hidden fixings into here and into there. What I did, I set out in pencil there where I want my buttons to go, where I want my clips to go. So then that mark is vertical with my mark, so I know I'm plumb, and that's in the middle of my marks, and it's level, so I know I'm in the right place. So I'm now going to router that out. No dust, absolutely brilliant. Just to be able to connect up, and that's an M-class Hoover, and it's brilliant, brilliant item. Right, let me get this unscrewed and we'll have a look. Right, so I've got them in there. I might put one in up there to catch that top corner, but I'll decide that once I've put the panel up. So now I put them in like that, and what they've got, if you look, they've got a little pin, so when you put the panel up, push it against it and it leaves a mark on the back of the panel. Oh, I haven't screwed that one in. When you buy these buttons, you just need to check, because some of the packs you only get one marker button. Well, to me, if you've got more than one, you put your marker button in that one, pressing the panel, marking it, taking the panel off, moving the button to another one. You know, you're doing it 4 times, and each time you can move. So just make sure you get enough marker buttons for what you want. I bought a pack of 6. So what I've done, I've screwed a piece of board on level with where the bottom of my panel will sit, so I can sit my panel on there. And I've made my marks at the top where my top corner of my panel will be. There. I'm measuring down, and I'm now just going to go cut it. Well, these decor panels are not cheap for what you'd look and you'd think there's only a tenner's worth of wood. There's a few hundred quid in a panel there, and it's ridiculous. So I've double checked my measurements, I've checked my angle as a double check with a sliding bevel and put it on the top. Are there to check my marks, and it matches. Because my circular saw, from the edge of the saw to the blade, it's 25mm. I've clamped, that's my saw cut, and I've clamped my level on. I'll use that as a guide, 25mm from my saw cut. Then I've got this, well, I've had it laid on cardboard, because inside the cupboard you see the back, so I didn't want any grit or anything puncturing the back of this and marking it, so I've done it all on cardboard. I've then got all this supported by timbers underneath, because the last thing you want to be doing is cutting it and it moves and chips. So I found my little marks, and I put a pencil mark on them just so I knew where they were. I could see them. There's another one there. Take these out now. Got them again for another day. Just screw my buttons in. Just make sure your screws aren't too long. Oh, there. That's all on. I've still got some boards to go on and still some sorting out to do, screw holes to sort out, door for the front, make a panel for that. I'm thinking of making another frame around that out of melamine, then using these fixings to clamp it on. Right, I'm going to end this video off here now because it's going to be a long one. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this cupboard coming together. And then in my next video I'll go on to something else, but I'll show this getting finished. Maybe a few other bits getting finished. Right, so happy. Right, thank you very much for watching.